With only a day remaining before its implementation, local executives have yet to appeal the reopening of leisure sites in GCQ areas such as Metro Manila. The Health Department adds nearly 11,000 new COVID-19 survivors under its mass recovery program, but the caseload is now nearing the 550,000 mark. The COMELEC extends voter registration hours to encourage more Filipinos to register and vote next year, as the agency remains below its target. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been acquitted anew of impeachment, but his successor, Joe Biden, says the substance of the charges is not in dispute. And couples get to experience a romantic Korean-themed dinner 130 feet above the ground on Valentine's Day. Find out later where in the program. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's a roundup of stories we're watching now. I'm Riza Diaz. The Interior Department is urging local government units to implement the new IATF resolution, easing restrictions in areas under General Community Quarantine or GCQ. In a virtual briefing, DILG Undersecretary Ipamaco Dinsing said they are hoping LGUs would follow the new protocol to avoid confusing the public. Dinsing said they are reviewing the policies to factor in the further transmission of the virus, particularly its more infectious variant. NCR mayors have earlier said they are not in favor of opening business establishments such as cinemas and theme parks as COVID-19 cases continue to rise.
Bagamat dinirespeto natin yung mga desisyon ng mga lokal na gobyerno, sana maintindihan nila yung kadahilanan nito, no? Na kung bakit ang polisiya is magbukas. Pag-aaralan ho natin ito kung pwede ho natin silang makumbinse na sumunod sa polisiya ng ating pambansang gobyerno through the IATF. Kasi ho, alam nyo, kailangan ho natin ng whole of government approach.
While Metro Manila mayors are opposing the reopening of several establishments such as cinemas and theme parks, they have no qualms on expanding churches' capacity. Speaking to us earlier, Navotas City Mayor Tiangco clarifies that Metro Manila executives unanimously agree with that decision. Under the new IATF resolution, which will be implemented beginning Monday, churches will be allowed to open at 50% capacity from the previous 30%.
Doon sa mga simbahan, pumayag po kami, no? Pagkaalam ko unanimous po yun. Ang reason po noon is to be consistent doon sa restaurant. Kasi restaurant, napayagan natin ng 60%. So, bakit naman hindi natin papayagan yung simbahan doon sa 50%?
The Philippines' COVID-19 caseload is approaching the 550,000 mark. Just today, the Health Department reported over 1,900 new infections, pushing the active case count to nearly 26,000. Around 93% are asymptomatic or mild cases. The virus, meanwhile, claimed the lives of 8 patients in the past 24 hours, bringing the death toll to more than 11,500. Some 511,000, meanwhile, have gotten better from the disease, with nearly 11,000 new recoveries reported today. Now, we've been keeping close tabs on vaccine developments around the world, but experts say drug makers have also been making strides in finding a cure for the respiratory disease. Let's watch this.
There is certainly good news all around. Eli Lilly recently had an approval of a dual monoclonal antibody. And so with 2 different drugs, they're able to lower the dose and eventually, although the trials are still ongoing, possibly shorten the administration time. Right now, it's a 60-minute IV infusion. But it is designed to help prevent hospitalization and death in patients with mild or moderate symptoms. So all good news.
Is it good news, Jason, because they could also be more effective in combating mutations or variations of this COVID-19?
So far, it does look like that the broadly neutralizing antibody present in this drug works against the UK variant. I have not seen data thus far about the South Africa variant, but it stands to reason that there would be good support there as well in reducing hospitalization and death.
Jason, when we get through the vaccinations, what people are going to say is what took so long. What is the constraint to beginning to have 50-year-olds get vaccinated?
Well, I think the supply is the ultimate answer to that. Yeah. Right. We have a pent-up demand. Obviously, we have, I was on a call with the recent senator here in Baltimore and basically having a conversation with constituents, and the conversation was repeated by every caller, which is, I'm on a list at multiple different locations. I'm over 50 years old. I can't get access to the vaccine.
Exactly.
I've been given no date. Right. So it's about supply. Many people want the vaccine. They just can't get the shot in their arm.
Okay, but Jason, here's the moral question, and I don't expect a religious answer from you, but do you try to cajole over 60-year-olds who really don't want the vaccine, or do you basically say, excuse the French, screw you, and give it to the people dying to have the vaccine in their 40s and their 50s?
Well, I think you raise a really important point, and the problem is that when we think about society and the equity of vaccine access, we are overcoming a lot of vaccine hesitancy among the populations most at risk. So the populations of the African American community, the Latinx community, have greater medical mistrust and other barriers to access care. There's been lots of a historical nature of maltreatment and mistreatment to those populations in the United States. And as such, we actually need to do, and we're planning on doing, a lot of community outreach events and activities to encourage vaccinations among those populations, because there's the disparity in COVID-19, both, morbidity and mortality in those populations. But it does take a lot more work to convince individuals in that community, because of that mistrust, that the vaccine is right for them.
Jason, why are not more countries doing genome sequencing like the UK? You need to understand what we're dealing with, right? So if you have a PCR test, and it can also tell you exactly what the mutations and variations are. Until more countries do that, are we really blind as to whether these vaccines can combat future mutations?
It's certainly, molecular surveillance is quintessential to actually understanding the overall spread of these viruses. California showed that less than 1% at the beginning of January viral variants, and the recent study showed that they were upwards of 4%, a little over 4% by the end of January. So we're actually, driving a little blind here without more molecular surveillance. And what that would obviously do is tell us, how many people have each variant, where those variants are most likely to spread, and help us to, further mitigate their spread by, increasing measures necessary to prevent transmission.
Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections is extending its operating hours to encourage more Filipinos to register to vote. Beginning this week, COMELEC offices nationwide will be open for voter registration Tuesdays to Saturdays from 8 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. They will also be open during holidays. Now, in world news, former U.S. President Donald Trump has been acquitted by the Senate in his second impeachment trial. The U.S. Senate voted 57-43 on the question of whether Trump was guilty of inciting the deadly U.S. Capitol attack last January 6. A majority of senators voted to convict the former president but failed to reach the supermajority threshold needed for a conviction. U.S. President Joe Biden said that despite Trump's acquittal in the U.S. Capitol insurrection trial, the charges against him are not in dispute, adding that the attack was a reminder that democracy is fragile. Now, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, people are still celebrating Valentine's Day by gifting bouquets to their loved ones. Except now, flowers are mostly ordered online. To tell us more, here's a report by Hannibal Calete.
Flower shop workers are working non-stop arranging flowers at the farmers market in Cubao. This is because riders or delivery personnel arrive every few minutes to pick up online orders.
Sobrang dami mo ibili through online. So ngayon kasi nagkakagulo nga, may nadadagdagan pa siya. Nadadagdagan pa bukod sa merong advance na booking kagabi.
And surprisingly, the price of flowers increased, but some vendors still find it hard to turn a profit due to the higher cost of supplies. Shop owners say they are also reeling from the high prices of flowers from their suppliers in Baguio.
Tumaas talaga ngayon ng roses, sir.
Nakakabawi na ba kayo?
Hindi pa, sir, kasi talagang hindi pa masyadong ng mga tao eh.
Pagdating sa presuhan, affordable o medyo may kamahalan pa?
May kamahalan, sir. Kasi talaga mga dati mga mura lang kasi ngayon talaga biglang tumaas.
Shops offer mostly arranged flowers or bouquets with a dozen roses priced at up to 1,300 pesos, while a 3-piece rose arrangement costs 800 pesos. For vegetarians, they offer a single rose for 100 pesos.
Tapos may isang sunflower naman kami, sir, 500. Isa lang. Yun kasi yung mga kinukuha nila, yung mga ganito, yung mga nakabudget, yung mga 500 lang, half dozen.
But of course, if you want to go all out, the shop also offers a flower and money bouquet mixed at 3,800 pesos. For News 5, Hannibal Talete. We are One News.
Now, a number of thrill-seeker couples have chosen theme parks as the venue of their Valentine's date. In Enchanted Kingdom, guests are offered a dining experience at its famed Ferris wheel ride with a Korean-themed dinner in the sky. Now, the theme park management said the dinner in the sky gives a safe dining experience amid the COVID-19 pandemic. It assured the public as well that safety protocols are being strictly implemented. The Enchanted K dinner will run on all weekends of February until March 7. Now, for more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World Online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.